Time. We're all running out of it. We're all experiencing it passing. But the way we track time is different from person to person. Some may like to consult their phone on an occasional glance. Others may look no further than the end of their wrist to tell you the time. And it's highly dependent on the situation you're in. If you're doing exercise, for example, it may be an Apple Watch. But if you're walking down the road to a business meeting, it may be a dress watch. Or maybe you're just enjoying a Sunday afternoon and it might just be a retro dive watch. But for me, telling the time has always come second on a watch. And what I mean by that is the breathtaking dials, the polished hour markers, and the functional straps have always come first. And nothing symbolised this more for me than the Omega Seamaster Professional in black, a highly attractive and very capable dive watch with a rich history behind it. So when I bought my first Grail watch, I was excited to say the least. In 1848, a watchmaking company was founded. It was called the Louis Brandt Watchmaking Company, founded by, as you guessed, Louis Brandt. This company would later go on to help put a man on the moon. A Swiss-based watchmaking company that has truly earned its legendary name, Omega. Some of their crowning achievements include, but not limited to, supplying watches worldwide in 1909, providing the world's first commercially available dive watch in 1932, and in 1940 they'd be the largest supplier of watches to the British Armed Forces and Allies in World War II. Later in 1995, Omega became the watch choice of the world's most famous spy in GoldenEye. Now, I would love to go through all their achievements, and there's plenty to talk about, but this video would be too long, so I recommend if you're interested checking out the Omega website, which I'll put a link down to in the description. Unlike other dive watches, this watch was built with the intention to be both beautiful and highly functional. This means the polished, skeletonized hands both serve to wow any casual onlooker, but also be very visible at arm's length when under the waves. But it's the dial where the true magic happens. This reflective zirconium oxide dial bears no resemblance to any other watch I've ever seen. On first glance you may think it's a shiny black watch, but when you look closer you'll see the laser-etched waves. Every line perfect, every facet even and smooth. And if you ever forgot the name of the mirror-finished black dial ceramic, don't worry, it's imprinted underneath the watch's pinion. The dial hour markers are a polished ice white. They stand tall like icebergs above the mill pond of the dial, serving visibility from almost any angle. But as expected, the luminescence on this watch is absolutely exceptional, far surpassing any other watch in my possession. This is all visible through the domed sapphire crystal that's coated with anti-reflective undercoating on both sides of the crystal, and the curvature of this crystal is matched perfectly with the ceramic bezel, making it easy to slip a watch under the cuff at formal events. Moving to the outer regions of the watch, you may notice it's grown a little from the previous renditions, now sporting a 42mm case diameter, and that's quite alright for most. But something equally unique is its scalloped edge bezel, which serves to both impress any local mollusk you may find underneath the sea, but also making it incredibly easy to grip and rotate when needed. You'll also notice its inverted cupcake on the top left of the watch. However, this is no ordinary cupcake, but instead a helium escape valve for deep sea diving. Under normal use, this is screwed down to prevent water ingress. However, after surfacing from a deep dive, this can be used to relieve the pressure from inside the watch, which if left unattended, can actually cause the crystal to pop out of the watch, and as I'm sure you're aware, that isn't very good for water resistance. But the helium escape valve isn't this watch's only trick. You see, this spectacular watch houses a fully built in-house movement by Omega, which features a unidirectional winding rotor, manual winding, hackable seconds, with a power reserve of 55 hours. This features Omega's own coaxial escapement, a true watchmaking innovation that increased the service intervals massively by creating a near frictionless operation of the 3 pallet forks instead of the traditional 2. This development in watchmaking was created by George Daniels, an English watchmaker that then patented the design, which would later be bought by Omega and features in this monster of a watch. You see, the parts of an automatic watch are very specialised, and these minuscule components are therefore highly susceptible to the effects of the outside world. However, this issue has been eased by Omega, as this watch features a silicon free-sprung balance. This means the watch is able to resist magnetic fields up to 15,000 Gauss, which in perspective is the same as an MRI machine. Except that's not the best bit. All of this marvellous mechanical wizardry is visible for us just by simply turning the watch around. For the first time in the Seamaster 300's life, after 29 years of existence, it now has an exhibition case display back, which means that you can see the rhodium finished rotor etched with the famous Geneva wave pattern, as well as seeing the heated treated blued screws and retaining jewel hovering just above the beating heart of the watch. So in early 2021, I bought my own Omega. I bought it straight from the Omega website, and within a week it had arrived. I was impressed at the packaging to say the least, but then for £4,400 I felt like I should be. But nevertheless, the box felt high quality with a glossy finish. I then pushed the etched metal button and lifted the lid for the first time. There it was, the watch I'd lusted for almost 2 years. It was right there in front of me. I reached out and carefully lifted it out of its leather citadel, and the feeling of disbelief washed over me. However, it wasn't to last. Before purchasing the watch, I'd printed off the Omega size guide and measured my wrist using it. This information was then put in when I ordered the watch. However, when I got the watch on wrist, I soon realised the fit wasn't what I desired. The watch felt too loose and it wasn't the way I wanted it. Furthermore, the clasp wasn't clicking in correctly. I needed to press both the side release buttons and push ever so hard just to get it to click into place, or I had to slip a finger underneath the clasp and pinch the watch closed, which is not what you want from a brand new watch. And so I called Omega, and I must say it's ever so nice having a call taken by a person who is polite and well spoken. And they made sure I was okay with the package being sent to London for a fast track adjustment in the boutique. When it was back, I wasted no time taking it out of the supplied box and putting it on my wrist. To see it was a good fit now, I was really happy. But there was more. A week later, I was sitting on the sofa enjoying a pleasant evening of film watching when I consulted my wrist for the time and took a moment longer to admire the dial. That's when I noticed a few specks of dust on the glass, and I went to wipe it off and the problem was gone, except this one speck that my sleeve could not remove. I then realised the dust was on the dial and not the glass. A feeling of anger and dread coiled around my heart like a snake. I then had a cascade of thoughts. Is there more dust? What if the dust is in the movement? Could it move and cause damage? And after that, every time I put the watch on, my eyes could no longer see the time and would only focus on the dust. Knowing it was there, it ruined my experience of it. I ultimately decided I wanted perfection. Having spent so much money on this watch, I wanted it to feel brand new when it was brand new. So I sent it back once again, and the Omega team were once again incredibly accommodating, sending me a new watch entirely with the required links already removed. But there was once again a problem. The Omega problem. It had another speck of dust on the dial, and at this point you're probably thinking I'm just very fussy. But if you spent money on a brand new car and had it straight from the factory, you wouldn't expect a chip in the windscreen, would you? So I once again sent the watch back for the final time, and on returning to me, I finally received a perfect Omega 300M Professional. Following the last adjustment, I didn't wear the watch anywhere near as much as I wanted to. I believe this is due to how conscious I was of wearing the watch at all times, and how I might scratch it or the bracelet. So I did something I hadn't intended on when first buying the watch. I went to a boutique and bought the black silicone variant of the strap. This cost me a total of £259, which is the most expensive strap I've ever bought. But what I found very vexing about the strap was the strap itself was only £215, but it didn't include a clasp, so you wouldn't have been able to seal the watch onto your wrist. So to be able to use the watch strap, you have to spend another £40 for the clasp. But on top of this, the store didn't actually stock the strap or the buckle, so I had to pay another £4 to have it actually delivered to the boutique so I could have it fitted. I feel this is horribly conducted, and the strap should be a fixed value of £255 and not have the option to downgrade unless specifically wanted by the customer. I also don't feel I should have been charged for the delivery, as I'm already spending over £250 on a strap for a watch. I must say, however, the staff were very nice and were able to get the strap fitted in good time, as well as being very welcoming overall. And since having the Omega on the silicone, I've enjoyed it tremendously more, wearing it a lot more and without fear of the watch getting scratched. However, I don't recommend that anyone buys the silicone strap version straight away, as even if you don't like the bracelet and will never use it, it's much easier to have the bracelet for resale value. This is because it's very hard to find the original bracelet decades from now, and therefore a lot more collectible and valuable if you keep it with the original bracelet, even if you don't necessarily use it. The Omega Seamaster is the greatest dive watch I've ever owned. Its value for money is absolutely incredible, and although Omega's increased the cost of this watch by £180 since I've owned it, it's still a really great watch to own. Therefore, the conclusions I'm forced to draw after experiencing this watch firsthand for almost a year are the following. Omega are master watchmakers, but they are not perfect by any means. There is a high chance for error if you're like me and you look for them, but I'm happy to say the phenomenal team at Omega will do their very best to facilitate and remedy any QC concerns you may come across. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.